YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Keh-me and you are no longer watching Milano doll here on YouTube. You are just watching Keh-me. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been gone for a while and I've also changed my name. We are no longer Milano doll, we are now just Keh-me, but in the way that you pronounce my name. And if you guys want a life update aside from medicine and aside from what I'm going to be studying and things like that, I can actually give you guys that, because aside from school I've got other things going on in my life. This gap year, I believed it was going to be a gap year of fun, travels, doing whatever I wanted, but realistically God had it planned that it would be a gap year of reflection and a gap year of growth and understanding me as a person, what I'm here to do, what I want to be doing, what aligns with me and my morals, what actually are my morals and values. I know I said in this gap year that I would be so consistent and I would be posting all these videos and you guys would see so much more of me, would see all the fun stuff I had planned, but realistically guys, I just, one, wasn't in the headspace to do it, and two, there was no fun stuff. There was no fun stuff. But we're back and we're better. I bought a camera, if you guys didn't notice. I've changed up my channel. I'm investing in a new editing software. I'm not sure if I want to do Final Cut Pro or Adobe or other things, but we're building back up, and hopefully by God's grace this is going to be the last time that I say, oh, I'm back guys. This is me now. Like, this is my channel. You guys should expect to see a video from me at least once a week, and if I'm late or if I have things going on, then once every 2 weeks. We're not going to be taking 3-month long, 6-month long, or even 1-month long hiatuses anymore unless I absolutely need it. But yes, enough rambling, enough talking. I want to just get straight into the video. I've got notes here on my phone just so that I keep on track and I speak about everything I want to speak about. So if you see me looking down or if you see me going on my phone, I'm not being rude guys, I just have things that I want to follow. So I can't lie, I don't really remember where I left off with you guys, but I'm going to start from the beginning basically. As you may or may not know, I only actually ended up applying to one medical school, and that was Leeds. That was because I didn't qualify for any other gateway years to medicine, which is funny because the requirements are BBC and I have A-star AC, so you would think I would be able to apply. But unfortunately a lot of these foundation year programs are actually scams, and they want you to have BBC but 2 Bs in sciences. So realistically, not BBC. It doesn't give you the opportunity to, unfortunately, have a letdown in your A-levels, get a C in one of your sciences and you can still apply for medicine. Instead, they force you to still get B and above in the sciences. So I only applied to Leeds. For the others, if I did qualify grade wise, it would be a thing where I wasn't actually contextual to them, because the only way to access foundation years is through contextuality, and for some schools I was contextual and some schools I wasn't. So Leeds was my only option, and I applied to 4 other schools and they were all psychology. Apart from one, Kiel, was biology and psychology. For your information, I applied to York, I applied to Lincoln, Lancaster, and obviously Kiel. York being the dream big option. I still wasn't sure if I would get into the university. It was kind of like a maybe Russell Group Uni. I don't think they'll take me, simply because the contextual was probably going to be like AAB and I had A-star AC, so I still felt like my C would drag me down. And yeah, I just applied just to apply because it was one of the best universities in the UK for psychology. And like I said guys, I wasn't even thinking about what uni I would be going to. I knew I wanted to go to Leeds and I believed that's what was going to happen. As you know, I did the BMAT and everything and I didn't hear anything back from Leeds. I sat the BMAT in October and I didn't hear anything until January. So during this time period, I had the time to just sit and think and question, is medicine going to fulfill me in the way that I want it to? Or am I going to end up in a career that I put my all into and I kept on pouring into that doesn't actually fill me up? This was a big, huge question when it came to this period of silence and waiting. And obviously guys, I'd had these questions before. I thought about these things before, as every medical student does, simply because everybody says to you, are you sure you want to be a doctor? You know the demands of this career, and everyone's just like, well yeah, I love it, so it's going to be demanding, but I don't mind, I'm doing what I love. That was always my answer. I didn't pay attention to any of the cons. But for the first time in what, 6 years maybe? I've been trying to be a doctor since year 8, so 5-6 years. The first time I genuinely looked at the cons and thought, oh, that doesn't look like something I'm willing to subscribe to. I didn't like the fact that doctors don't get paid enough in the UK, and didn't like the fact that it takes very, very long to get to that consultant level. I didn't like the fact that doctors are overworked. I didn't like the fact that the NHS as an institution isn't actually a global role model like the way the UK likes to portray it to be. I remember growing up in secondary school, I'd always mention the UK is a global role model. We have free healthcare. Now that I'm actually older and I'm seeing the NHS for what it is, it's not this nice razzle dazzle thing that actually is so beneficial to the public. in some cases that can actually be the opposite. Yes, healthcare is free, but are we getting good quality healthcare, or are we just getting bottom barrel free healthcare that isn't actually benefiting anyone? Are we getting underpaid, overworked staff that don't actually have the energy to put their all into every patient, and therefore we're just getting crappy healthcare? These are things I actually genuinely had to question, and I thought, you know what, the NHS isn't something it isn't an institution I stand by. Low-key, I stand by the value. I stand by the idea of everybody being entitled to healthcare and everybody being able to receive healthcare at the point of need, but I don't stand by slapdash healthcare. I don't stand by racism. In a lot of NHS facilities, they don't understand black healthcare. We've seen so many black women die at the hands of doctors and their lack of knowledge of black women, or their ignorance towards black women, and the weird stereotype that we don't feel pain. So many black women have died during pregnancy, and so many black people in general have just lost their lives because of negligence in the NHS. And all of these things became very prevalent to me. After noticing this, I began to question whether I would be satisfied working as a black woman, as a doctor in the NHS for the rest of my life. If I would receive the benefits I should be receiving, if I would experience the career progression I wanted to experience, and I didn't see it happening. Aside from all this, I questioned whether working in the NHS full time, or just working in the NHS full stop, was going to accommodate the lifestyle I wanted. Is it going to interfere with other business ventures I want to do? Is it as versatile as I think it is? And it starts to feel like you're running a crumbling business where you don't have the facilities, you don't have the funds to actually provide the service. You start having to pick which patient is actually worthy of the care. None of these things screamed out to me and made me feel like, yes, I love medicine. It did the opposite. A lot of people use the option as being a locum doctor for these problems, or they just go into private care. I don't actually believe in private healthcare, so going into private wasn't actually something I wanted to do. It was something I was willing to do if I had to, in order for my own like sanity, but it's not, I don't believe in it. I don't believe anybody should have to pay in order to receive healthcare. That isn't morally correct to me. So I didn't want to do that for my whole life and only accommodate to people that had the money to do it. It didn't seem right. It wasn't helping people. It didn't feel like helping people. It didn't feel like I was helping the general public. Locuming wasn't really an option too, because I didn't like the idea of a lack of stability, and you're constantly moving around and you can't really establish your place in one hospital or one facility. I didn't like that idea. I wanted to get to know my patients and build a bond with my patients, build a bond with the staff, build a bond with the area and things like that. That seemed more like something I wanted to do. So there seemed to be a lack of options, and it seemed to become really clear that I wasn't really happy with the NHS and the idea of working for it. So I began to look for other options, and two careers I found. One being a physician's assistant or a clinical psychologist. Physician's assistant at first screamed out more to me, but there were a few cons. If you study and if you train and become qualified in the UK, you are stuck to this country. That didn't feel good. Felt claustrophobic. I want to move out of this country eventually. I don't want to stay here for the rest of my life, and the idea that I'll be stuck here because of my career just didn't feel good to me. And on top of it, they don't actually get paid well enough in this country either. I think roughly a PA gets paid around 50k in this country. That's at the highest level. Maybe if you do locum, you can touch maybe 65 to 80k, something like that if you do locum. But in other countries like Canada, you can touch average 100k. And also they get more responsibility than the UK does. So I felt like, oh, I don't want to sell myself short and study in this country and then end up not even being happy with the career I have, because other people are doing the exact same job, getting paid more than me, and have more responsibility with the patient. I genuinely considered studying in Canada, but that also just didn't seem right, because the chance of getting in Canada is 2% chance. And I just was like, I'm not gonna try and get a visa and like a permanent residency, move to another country and start struggling, and year after year I'm trying to get into this thing and I'm just not getting in. I didn't want that. That didn't feel stable to me. Now, clinical psychology felt like a genuine possibility for me. The only thing I didn't like, I felt like there wasn't enough science. It felt like it was more humanity based than scientific. And I know that sounds weird because psychology is extremely scientific, objective and empirical. But in terms of like the biology and the structure of the body and the brain, that's all I needed. I needed the biology of the brain to be involved. I didn't want to just look at the outside of like how you're acting, how you're behaving. I wanted to analyze, draw conclusions from what's going going on inside. So at first I was very skeptical about clinical psychology because it felt like you would only observe the outside symptoms and everything going on in the inside was kind of ignored. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because I was like, medicine isn't really looking too good right now. Being a PA is looking a little bit long and clinical psychology isn't really giving me what I want. So I felt like, oh no, am I gonna be one of those people that suffers and does a 9 to 5 that they absolutely hate? I gave myself a break and I parked all thoughts about careers and I just left it until I heard back from Leeds. I got an email and it said I had been rejected. This didn't actually spark any emotions out of me. I didn't cry when I read it. I wasn't nervous. I didn't feel anything. And I think this was because I was coming to a point where I was like, if I get this offer, would I agree to it? Would I accept it? Is this something I want to get myself into? Genuinely, guys, it didn't feel like medicine deserved me. I had spent so much money trying to get a UCAT tutor only for me to not even be able to do my UCAT. I still had to pay that money either way. I had put so much time and effort into getting experience just for that to not be enough. I put so much time and effort into my personal statement just for that to not be enough. I put so much time and effort into my A-levels just for that to not be enough. And now I'm gonna add on doing a foundation year. Is that gonna end up being enough? So when I got the rejection, I generally didn't feel anything because it felt like the choice was made for me. Do I really want to get into this career that I might not be happy in? But do I really want to let go of all of these years I've been planning, prepping, hoping, praying to become a doctor? But the choice was out of my hands. That said though, guys, I still did have to mourn the idea of not becoming a medical doctor, not being the pediatrician, the pediatric neurologist that I wanted to be. And I know you're probably thinking like, well, you could have gone abroad. You could do another gap year. You could go study something and do postgrad med. Or you could wait and apply for the degree apprenticeship that's coming out. I know, guys. I know all the options. I know it's actually not over for medicine. I could still do medicine if I wanted to. But the thing is, I don't. And that's what I realized when I got the rejection. And when I didn't have all these negative emotions and I was relieved instead of sad, I clocked I didn't want to do it anymore. I clocked I'd lost that attachment. I'd lost that love, that passion. It had all been drained out of me. I had gone through so much hell and back with this career. And I got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm giving, I'm not getting. So it became a thing of, okay, I want to do medicine, but do I want to go to university? Is psychology something I want to study? Should I go for clearing and try to get into something else like neuroscience? Or what is it that I want to do? Is it clinical psychology? Is it being a PA? Am I doing all these things? Or is it something completely different out there? And then I began to really research into these two careers and I made a pros and cons list. As I began to do my research, I started to draw closer to clinical psychology because the science that I said that was missing and the analyzation of the inside and like your brain and what's going on there that causes your behavior was actually prevalent in clinical psychology. You can specialize in neuropsychology and become a clinical neuropsychologist. Everything that I ever wanted is now in one career. God had literally placed everything I want in my lap. As soon as I found out that you could specialize in neuro, I was like, oh yeah, God, I see what you're doing. You don't have to be doing crazy 70-hour weeks like actually have a life. You get paid basically the same. So when I came to a point where I was like, okay, I wanted to do clinical psychology. This seems like the career for me. This gives me everything that I felt. It is healing and helping people. It is giving people answers, giving them hope, being able to lead and use my gift of being able to be a leader and my gift of being able to make critical decisions under pressure and being able to analyze and be objective. All of these things just in one career. Once I realized, I decided the university I wanted to study at was University of York. It has so many opportunities when it comes to psychology. You can fast track into the clinical psychology doctorate straight out of university, provided you do everything well and you actually get in and you go through the rigorous interviews and all these things. You can literally be on the doctorate by the age of 22. For me, I would be 22, which is crazy. There are people who have applied 6 times, so 6 years in a row and haven't gotten in. It is extremely competitive, and having that option of going to, I think it's the only university that actually offers that fast track, was just like, wow, God, you've just put everything in perspective and you've actually handed it to me in my lap, the career you want me to get into. You also get paid a salary of around 35k or 40k if you're in London, about 40k, and also it's free. There is no debt. It is fully funded by the NHS, which studying medicine isn't. You get paid and they fund it for you. Having that as an option, being able to get paid around 35k at 22, it was looking likely. I was thinking, yeah, this is something like the opportunities seem to be so high and great and like achievable, unlike in medicine where it was like, oh, you have to be like 50 years old to see all the effort you put in, and I just came to a point where I felt like clinical psychology had nothing on medicine. And so that is it, guys. That is what I'll be doing. I will be studying psychology at York this year, this September, and I'll be, fingers crossed, trying to become a clinical neuropsychologist. Yeah, guys, it has been a journey and a half. I'm so glad that I am in something that I feel so much more relieved by, and it feels like doors are so much more opened than they felt like they did in medicine. I felt like everything I did, all the effort I put in, and guys, I grinded my ass off. Anyone that knows me knows I work hard. I don't play. I'm very determined. I put so much effort into medicine, and it was like no door opened for me. Every single door shut whenever it could. And in hindsight, I see now that was God trying to focus me and force me onto a path that he wanted me to be on. I know I screamed a lot about how God convicted me of becoming a doctor and this and the third. I think what God was actually convicting me of this whole time was the qualities of a doctor. Being able to lead, being able to help people, being able to heal people. And I get that same thing in clinical psychology anyways. But yeah, guys, be sure to stay tuned and see my journey and like how everything pans out. I will be filming moving into university vlogs and uni vlogs and freshers week and all these things. For now, my channel is not going to be about school content because we're not in school right now. So if you guys are here to watch me for that, come back in September. If you guys just are here to watch me for me, stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoyed this life update. Comment down below to let me know what you think. Comment down below to let me know if you are pursuing clinical psychology, if you're going to be studying psychology at York, or if you're going to York in general. Comment down below as well. Thank you guys so much for supporting me on medicine. Thank you for all the people that would DM me and give me advice. Honestly, I appreciate you guys so much, but it's time to focus on something new. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.